We're sitting down with Betty Goughegan, Fairmont West class of 1979. Betty earned 7 letters, including 3 in gymnastics, 3 in track, and 1 in cross country. In gymnastics, she competed in the parallel bars, uneven parallel bars, I'm sure, beam, and floor exercise. She was named Most Improved Gymnast her sophomore year. The Dragons won the Western Ohio League and district meets her junior and senior years, and they placed 3rd in the state meet her junior year and 4th her senior year. Betty placed 2nd in the state in floor X her senior year. In track, she was a 3-time All-WOL performer. As a junior, she was selected as Most Improved for the Dragons. She placed 1st in the high jump at the district and regional meets and 2nd in the state meet. She was also named to the West Central Ohio Coaches All-Star team. Her senior year, she again won the high jump at the WOL and district meets, repeated as WCOC All-Star, and was named All-Ohio. She served as co-captain both her junior and senior years. In 1978, she broke and still holds the Fairmont women's high jump record at 5 feet 7 inches. This includes Old Fairmont, Fairmont East, Fairmont West, and Kettering Fairmont, and at almost 40 years is one of the longest standing records in Fairmont athletic history for both men and women. Finally, Betty was one of the first girls in the history of Kettering schools to compete in cross country at Fairmont West. She inspired other girls to come out for the team, and eventually a women's cross country team was established. After Fairmont, Betty competed in the high jump at University of Kentucky, where she lettered her freshman year. Then she transferred to Eastern Kentucky University, where she broke the high jump record in 1983, going 5 feet 9 inches, a record that still stands today. After graduating from EKU, she began a successful teaching and coaching career in Kentucky, and she currently teaches math at Montgomery County High School in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. She and her husband, John, have 4 sons. Very nice resume.
Thank you.
Betty, let's talk about cross country first. You were sort of a pioneer in cross country since you and a teammate were the first girls ever to compete in that sport at West. Talk about that experience.
I chose to run cross country by the urging of my track coach, Mr. Carl. And he thought it would be good for me to get ready for gymnastics my senior year. And so I trusted him on that. It was horrible. It was horrible. I was like,
not the answer I was expecting.
but it's the truth. But he was always encouraging, and I worked really hard. And the guys on the team, you know, I had some friends on the team, and they were very encouraging. But it was really hard for me. And some days he would send us out, and he'd say, "Okay, you start running, and I'll tell you when to stop." That was tough. It was tough for me. It's a tough sport, but it really helped me. It really helped when I started gymnastics.
It's a tough, grueling sport. Now, Bob was cross-country coach.
He was, and also
time.
track coach.
Okay, right. Okay, and you and a teammate, I believe, were the only 2 girls that came out?
Yeah, Jenny Moore, and it was just us and then all the guys. And like I said, they were really receptive to us and support us and encouraged us, and she was better than I was at cross country.
That got the ball rolling, and eventually cross country became a girls' sport at both Fairmont East, Fairmont West, and of course now at Kettering Fairmont.
Right.
So you were indeed a pioneer. In gymnastics, you were good in multiple events, but you actually made it to the podium at the state meet in floor X your senior year. Is that correct? Talk about the experience of participating in the state meet both your junior and senior years.
Coach Gantz was our coach, and he was excellent. He just had a passion for the sport and really pushed us and was knowledgeable about it. And we bought into what he offered to us. As a team, we did. And you know, he said, we can do it. We can do it. Centerville was very competitive. I think they won my sophomore year. And maybe they did my junior, I can't remember, but they're very good. But he said, you can hang with them. You guys can do this. And so we qualified as a team, and we finished 3rd. And I also qualified individually to compete in balance beam and floor exercise. And so it was a great experience. It was just, you hope for that when you're in athletics, that you can make it all the way to state.
Compete at the highest level.
At the highest level.
Was it different going back your senior year since you had already been there your junior year? Were you a little less nervous, or was it pretty much the same feeling?
I think the same. You always want to win. You want to be able to be the champion in your event, and so, that was my goal, is to win beam or floor exercise, and that was really probably stretching it. There were so many good gymnasts in Ohio, but still nervous. Still enjoying it, get out there in the floor exercise and just try to show off and do your routine. But I was nervous both times, but excited both times.
Describe the feeling of standing on the podium as a second place finisher in the state of Ohio in floor X.
It's pretty amazing. It really was. Like I said, that's what you hope for. And so, all those years of working, that's what you hope for.
Yeah. Betty, in track, you were one of the top high jumpers in Ohio. Not only did you make it to the state meet in 2 sports, which is very unusual, but you placed second in the state meet in both sports, something very few people can claim. Take us through the experience at the state track meet in Columbus.
My junior year, there was a girl that competed that was on the track team at Fairmont West. Her name was Jane Neff, and Jane was very competitive in high jump, and so we competed. Every practice was competition, and we were friends and encouraged each other, and we both qualified for the state meet.
Wow!
And so I can remember we were at the Horseshoe at Ohio State. It was just a massive stadium.
Pretty awesome.
It was, and some of our friends had taken a big sheet and it said, "Get high, Jane and Betty," and it hung over right in front of the high jump area, and it was blistering hot. I don't know how many tons of ice they used that weekend, but it was blistering hot, and we were underneath this little tarp. Just trying to stay out of the sun while we were competing. And I can remember it was at 5'7", and I had 2 misses. And I was under that tent, and I just started crying. And I was like, it can't come to this, it can't be over. There were plenty of girls, still competing. And I came in on my 3rd jump, and I made it. And there were quite a few others that didn't make 5'7", and it was just amazing. It really was. Like I said, that's what you work for. And I hadn't high jumped that many years, just 2 years prior to that, but still, it was really amazing to just be there. And I was so thrilled to have second. I was really happy. You want first the next year. But I was just the fact that I had placed at the state level, it was really exciting.
So you had the same feeling that you had in gymnastics?
Yeah, it was great.
That's pretty amazing. Now, was at the state meet, was that the first time that you had gone 5'7"?
It was.
Oh, so that was the record-breaking jump at the state meet?
It was, yep.
Wow. Huh. Did you feel any different that day? Did you feel any stronger or more focused, or?
Well, it was really warm, and of course that just makes you that much more limber and flexible, and maybe that had something to do with it. I really don't know. I don't know if it was just, this is it, you got one try, this is it, you got to make it count.
It's a lot of pressure.
It was a lot of pressure. But I don't know, but that was the day. And it was like maybe the 26th of May, 1978.
And it still stands 40 years later. You played 3 sports at West. Once you went out for cross country, which wasn't terribly unusual back then. A lot of people did that. These days, it's almost unheard of. Most kids specialize on one sport. A few of them play 2. How did you manage to go from season to season without a break and still have time to just be a high school kid?
Well, I know after the state meet, Mom says, you got to get your room cleaned up.
No.
And I found my winter coat on the far side of my bed. So that's, I didn't do some things so great, but between my sophomore track gymnastics season and my sophomore track season, I had an injury the last meet of the district meet, and I didn't get to compete in track most of the track season. But Mr. Carl called me for the West Relays and talked to my mom and dad. And he said, would you be willing, we need somebody else to make this relay for high jumping. Would you be willing, if we have Mr. Freeman, who's the athletic trainer at that time, will tape her ankles. I had twisted both my ankles at the same time coming out of a back flip on the floor exercise.
That's not good.
No, there was like some, back in that day, they didn't have those really nice big mats. Everything was just kind of pieced together. And so, not really sure, but they thought maybe I had like twisted my ankle like that. But I came out of a back tuck and both of them went at the same time. And so, he said, if and it was like, I don't know, probably 6 weeks, 2 months after the injury. But he said, if we can tape them really good, we'll tape them really tight, will you let her compete? And so my mom and dad agreed to let me do that for that one meet. And they swelled so much. I mean, every little place that it wasn't completely covered, like my ankle just had swelled out through that little spot and that little spot. But I was really glad to get to do it. I was glad that my mom and dad said yes. But it was just a discipline. You just, you did what you have to. You knew right after school, you practiced, and you went home and you had homework. And it was a choice I made, and I loved it. I loved competing, and I loved the sports that I was involved in. And so it wasn't hard for me to go from one to the next. I got tired sometimes, but I didn't mind. By the time one was ending, I was ready for the next one. And you just balanced your time.
You get one shot at being a high school athlete,
That's right.
And you grabbed for all the gusto you could. Tell us about your coaching career.
When I graduated from Eastern, I took my first teaching job in Eastern Kentucky in Appalachia Mountains, a pretty deprived area. And they hired me, when they hired me for the teaching position, they hired me also as their girls track coach. And I've taught at 4 schools, and 3 of them I have been either the boys and girls track coach or just the girls coach. After I had my family, I haven't coached. So it was in my first 7 years of teaching. But I was a girls coach, and it was, a little school that the kids had never even probably left their little town in Hyden, Kentucky, And so
Hyden, Kentucky.
Yes. And so I called Mr. Carl and I said, they've given me the girls track coaching position. I said, I know how to teach them how to high jump, but I said, what I do for distance, what I do for sprints, relays. And so he put together some workouts for me and sent them to me, and we talked over the phone. And we ended up having a really good year. We didn't make it no one made it to the state meet, and that was okay, because these girls never had anything. I mean, they didn't have anybody that really had a disciplined program. They just went from meet to meet. So we actually worked out, and I'd work out with them. Mr. Carl worked out with us. He'd run with us, and so I'd run with them. I like that, and so I chose to do that with my athletes as well. And it ended up being really fulfilling for them, I think, and it was really fulfilling for me as well. I really felt like I made a difference in some of the lives of those girls. Just give them something they could be proud of. And we got on a bus and rode 2 hours to a sectionals track meet. Most of them had never left Leslie County.
Oh, wow.
So it was a good experience. It was a good experience for all of us.
Did you get as nervous before a meet as a coach as you did as an athlete?
I didn't. I just, certain girls, it meant more to them than others. And there was, I would just want it for them. And, and girls cry sometimes, and so sometimes you had to just kind of pick them up and hold, hug them, and, it's going to be okay. But no, I didn't get nervous. And I guess when you start with nothing, which is really where that program was, you only can go forward. You can only go up, so.
Looking back on your athletic career at Fairmont West, any people that stand out as the greatest influences on you? You mentioned Bob Carl, I know.
Mr. Gantz and Mr. Carl were really amazing. And it's like I said, they were both so passionate about the sports that they coached and so knowledgeable. They just developed in us as a team and as individuals just a confidence. And we were confident because we knew they knew. And you know, Mr. Carl, when I found out that there might be opportunity for me to compete at the college level, he worked with me through the summer between my junior and senior year. He worked with me several nights a week, and then we'd drive to AAU meets throughout the state and into Michigan, and had some really good competition and some exposure, and you know, I just really appreciated that about him. There were Jane Neff, you know, she helped me be better.
And you helped her be better.
Yes, I think so. And on the gymnastics team, we were a close bunch of girls, and like I said, we all wanted to win, but we were happy for each other. You know, as the others would place above us and do well, or maybe accomplish something. So those girls meant a lot to me too. We have fun memories.
Betty, you have 4 sons. No weddings to pay for.
No,
Good
no
planning.
weddings. But I've had plenty of meals to pay for.
That's right. What would you like your 4 sons to know about their mom as an athlete at Fairmont West?
Well, they probably already know a lot of it. You know, they've heard the stories, and they're all involved in athletics as well. And you know, those are just great memories for me, and they're making great memories too. And it's like you said earlier, when high school's done, you're done. And so you want to make that count. You want to be the best teammate you can be. You want to be the most coachable. You want your coaches and your teammates, when it's all said and done, to say, you know, I'm better off for having known Will Thomas, or better off for having known John Keith or James Fletcher or Charles Andrew. I hope that my teammates felt that about me, that they can look back at, you know, 40 years ago and say, you know, I'm really glad that I knew Chimp. That was my nickname in high school, and that's what everybody called me. Betty, they probably don't know who that is. But, you know, I hope, and I believe that my teammates felt that way, that they're like, I'm glad I got to be on the team with Chimp.
Being a good teammate is a specific talent that a lot of kids don't have. Mm-hmm. So it was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I enjoyed it.
You are very deserving of this honor, and I hope you enjoy the weekend with your family.
Thank you. I appreciate it.